Hello. Okay, I think I can probably do more breakdowns off the B Team Jiu Jitsu page because they probably don't care about copyright stuff. I unfortunately can't do flow grappling because any usage of like even 5 seconds, they'll flag me and I get like a ban or whatever. So can't do those. I'll figure something out. I haven't tested IBJJF yet, but I imagine they might have something similar. And I know there's some IBJJF matches that are on flow grappling that for sure won't fly. Um, I haven't gotten flagged for one, so I think I can use one. Depending, I think they're just trying to promote it, so maybe we could get some of those fights. But obviously, it's not going to be as many things available to break down. So this today is Nicky Ryan versus Lachlan Giles at B Team. This is on their channel. This is like a flow roll. It's not very competitive, and I get that because like why would anyone want to beat up Lachlan? He's an old guy, right? A lot of respect. He's very good, but like kind of mean if you did that. So a lot of these things are exchanges, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of Lachlan's game. I'm not as strong with Nicky Ryan's, but I imagine is very similar to like just the Danaher Death Squad. So I can't say for sure the things he does and his wrestle up attacks and stuff like that because again I'm not a wrestler. But Lachlan, I feel really comfortable. I know what dives he's going for. I know his counters. I know his like 50-50 and all those variations and those crabs just from watching a ton of submeta, and a lot of my games based off that. So I feel like I can answer those questions better than the Nicky Ryan ones. But yeah, let's get started. Oh, what? Why did it? Hmm. Interesting. We'll see if it gets cut off. I can always move where I'm screen grabbing. Right, so Lachlan playing open guard, grabbing a leg, and then shoving it across. He is kind of not quite in 70-30. I know that's a position he plays a lot. I actually think 70-30 is really good, really underrated. But he seems to be going for like a backside 50, right? This frame on the far leg is really, really good. We gotta find that again. I think a lot of people, when they have a K-hook either on the near side or even the far hip, prevents rotation. But you can actually just step on the knee here and extend them out. And that actually really does shift all the way to here. It's also just good to break someone down from K-guard this way. And then he's able to throw this over. Obviously, Nicky holding the leg. I think it's very instinctual to grab the leg and be aware of the matrix hook or the backside 50 entry to like prevent it. But this leg kick out is actually very annoying to deal with. Right, so Nicky steps over. They enter into like a double guard pull position. Lachlan stands up. Nicky lets him. Nicky playing this type of control with the knee shield and the arm grab and trying to enter into a false sweep. That is actually one of the things I want to talk about. Lachlan feels very, very comfortable diving for bolos off this leg. So when you see Lachlan float, almost every single time he's floating, he's trying to go for a rolling bolo or diving into a crab. I think that's actually really effective, though some dives are more effective than others, just depending on whether or not the person below is aware. Right, so the thing he's trying to go is to take this knee and to beat this knee line and get his left knee as a wedge here so he can actually bolo off that far hip, right? He tries to dive for it. In this instance, he actually goes for crab, but same concept, right? So as a top passer, I think there are availabilities similar to a guard player, right? For a guard player, the three things you're really looking for are going to be either a sweep, a back take, or submission. I think a lot of people tunnel vision on the sweep or the submission and they forget about the back take. But as a passer, that's also true. So there's always going to be a pass, a submission, or a back take. And you can maybe argue that like a back take is passing the guard, but I think it qualifies enough as its own separate category to be aware that that is something that you should be looking for. Mikey talks about this. This is not an original idea. Mikey says these are the three boxes, and a person can only defend two. And that seems to be something that happens just because of like how human bodies are configured. So here, once again, right, trying to sweep overhead. Lachlan doing this. This is like the reverse X, right? Nicky's playing reverse X, trying to get this leg to enter into saddle. And this is a very common crab counter that he hits that I actually think is pretty high percentage. What you want to do is instead of having this leg scooped up and attacked, right, as like a saddle entry, you want to shorten this knee, so Lachlan's left knee, and then pummel your ankle into their hip pocket. right? So we watch this. He pummels it there, and he almost gets it, right? At this point, it is safe for you to roll and try to insert this right leg as a shin wedge on here and start attacking the crab system. Nicky actually does a really good job of not accepting this leg on his hip. I've never seen anyone really defend this that well. This entry, this rolling crab or rolling bolo, is like, I don't know, 60% efficient. Sometimes you will fall apart and you'll end up in like a double guard pull position. But it's better than getting leg locked, right? So that's still legitimate. I know somewhere, I don't know which course it is, but there is somewhere somewhere on the web, Lachlan does talk about three main dives that you can do. I think it's off of single leg X. You can dive for a bolo, reverse X, which a lot of people play specifically to get into saddle, has a dive with leg pummels, and then I forget the third one. But those are the ones that are kind of sneaky that I think a lot of people are not aware of. I think most people are starting to wake up to 50-50 and then doing a wedge bolo or from like outside ashi, right? That's where I feel like nogi bolos really came into the scene when Craig Jones got boloed from outside ashi when I think Kainen just picked up his hips and just like did a stomp wedge. But this is definitely an entry that is not as popular within nogi. I don't know if it's popular in gi because you can't do this in gi, right? Like you can enter saddle in gi, but if you're holding the leg that you would normally heel hook, you get disqualified. So, right, Nicky pummels that back over, right? Again, the concept is Lachlan wants to insert a wedge here on this hip so that when he rolls over, he can catch this leg and start attacking either crab on this side, or if he's lucky and this knee actually beats Nicky Ryan's right knee, you have a bolo, right? Nicky actually elevates this up and it inserts his own shin wedge here to prevent that connection to his hip, which I think actually disengages the entire position, right? That's sick. Like that's actually something I didn't expect to see. I don't know if Nicky Ryan just instinctually felt that or if he has rolled with people who do this kind of a dive, but I think the dive is rare enough that I didn't think that there would be a counter like that. So I don't know. It's really cool to see. Lachlan kind of is floating on top. I think he's very obvious. He's trying to specifically go. Yeah, see, like he's openly going into these reverse X positions, trying to get this specific dive, right? You can dive and you can start attacking crab. Nicky doing a pretty good job, kicking him behind the knees to try to like disengage the position. And this world is kind of weird. I feel like a lot of people get away with just flat backing and then like kicking or trying to have their heels towards their butt and creating space. And that kind of works up to a certain level. But I think if you ever roll against a genuine crab specialist, it's like it's game over. Like as soon as they have a crab hook, they can invert and stack you. I feel like Lachlan actually doesn't do that well later on in the round. We could look at that. In this position, I know this is like a usual toe slip out to get a bolo. I actually think against a good leg locker, this is kind of game over. I think you can only slip this and enter top bolo, right? That's when you're sitting on top of the legs and you're getting ready to roll. If this leg is on this bottom hip, if it's here and the guy is like mean with it and like really figure four grips it and just belly down, I feel like I get popped. Like I don't feel like I can actually successfully do the bolo. So I think this is a flow roll. They're being nice to each other, but that's definitely the position that Lachlan is looking for. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I hate this position. I think anytime your lower back is curved like this, you're getting stacked. It's not good for your spine health. People are here all the time, um, but I'm not a fan. Lachlan kind of has a nifty lockup. It's not quite like an arm 50-50, which is honestly very rare to encounter, but it's very good. You could look it up. It's Leo Vieira's arm 50-50. Has some really interesting ways that I think are pretty rare for the top player to actually disengage two frames of the guard player with one limb. But what I want to look at here, right? Lachlan just diving into this butterfly with the intent, same thing, right? He's trying to acquire the hip pocket with his right ankle here, right? Once he has this configuration, he can dive for like crabs and stuff, right? So I know that's the entry he's looking for here. And then Nicky's just stuffing that, keeping the space closed, enters into outside ashi. Well, I guess it's like 50-50, not quite outside ashi yet. And this is kind of similar to the position we went over a while ago, where you break, um, like if Lachlan's leg was around this leg, he would have 50-50, right? But he opens it and hooks the far hip with the bottom leg, and then this leg has to go deep or you get heel hooked, right? So Lachlan has to play on his left hip so that he doesn't get absolutely heel hooked. Nicky's sticking his arm in to kind of act as a wedge, so maybe Lachlan's actually forced to do this. I don't know. But you could, I mean, maybe not in this situation because of this arm frame. Um, but there is a reverse close guard entry here if this arm isn't here. I actually think this arm might stop Lachlan from being able to do that. I don't think Lachlan's getting into that at this point in time. I think his instructional on that came out after this video. But yeah, the arm prevents it, and then he just stands up. They're just going to explore other positions. That is very classic Lachlan. I don't think it's surprising to Nicky either, right? You invert through to enter like a backside 50 kind of position. Yeah, they just end up back into 50-50. Nicky going for some kind of, I don't know, deep half. And Lachlan's just always trying to hunt for this crab. I think at this point he was releasing his crab instructional, so definitely very top of mind for him. He lost this here, right? But there is a correlation, right, between this crab X here, when he inverts through, right? He has crab X on the top leg. If he inverts through, if Nicky didn't get this foot in, he would be in leg drag, right? So the leg drag system and inverted leg drag and crab are all really related. Right, playing this Ashi. This is almost like waiter X, but not quite. In an ideal state, Lachlan actually has this frame on his hip. I think the foot is slightly out of alignment, but if he had this foot on this hip and this leg came up to cross, you can just basically do a kiss of the dragon roll inside, which he still gets, right? He rolls all the way through, and you end up in this back position, which, look, it's basically bolo again, right? You are on the outside of this leg. You need to beat the knee line, and you can start attacking back takes. But you know, this is clearly a flow roll. I don't expect. I'm not faulting anyone for doing anything. Okay, this I'm probably gonna get flamed by the randoms on the internet, but I don't think Lachlan's doing a good job with this guard here, right? This position where you're supine, I feel like he's getting crowded. Like this is already a loss, right? You lost one battle here where he has the shin pin, but not only that, you're like your chest is facing the ceiling, right? So he can easily get rolled to the far hip. I think a better structure would be if he self pins on this right hip and is facing the guy more. You just it's like a lot of body alignment, and it's difficult, but like if he's able to frame, and I wouldn't even frame this leg, right? Because now Nicky can flank with this left leg. I think this frame here is actually incorrect. I think this frame should actually be on this leg, similar to what we talked about, right below the knee, right? You do the ankle, he's just gonna knee slice over the top. You frame above the knee, it's too far misaligned. Right below the kneecap is a really good stiff arm frame here, and then to self pin yourself on your right, so you're completely playing a side guard. Then if Nicky was to circle this way, he would just push Lachlan like a sled. But since he's already so flanked, and I don't know, maybe he's hunting for a Choi bar here. I know Lachlan's also released an instructional on that. Guy makes so much content. But yeah, I think framing, using a hand frame on the like leg that's closer to your legs and not the one that's closer to your face, I think is an issue. And yeah, look, see, he's starting to get rolled, right? So he's framing here because Nicky's applying pressure and trying to pin him on the far hip. But I personally don't feel as comfortable just being like a dead bug, and having someone roll me to the far hip. Right, right? Nicky inverting. I hate this position because, like, dude, it's so stacked. And, like, Lachlan's not heavy, right? But imagine you had, like, a Nicky rod on you. Like, I don't, this doesn't look good for your spine. And maybe, you know, he's just trying to come out the top. But, like, I want to avoid that position at all costs. Nicky going for his own crab. I think they're going to bump into these people. Right. And hang on, let's see this. Right. Nicky loses this because Lachlan is grabbing this leg. Right. If Nicky got this crab hook in, he would actually win the crab hook battle, right? He'd have double crab hooks on Lachlan. But Lachlan actually does a really good job defending. And he uses his arm as a like a wall to prevent this foot from ever circling in and getting that second crab hook. And I think he grabs his knee, right, to control it and to keep it into his lat here. And that buys him time to strip that hook, the first one that he actually accomplished, and attack his own crab, which is really good. Yeah, and there it is, right? That's exactly what I was talking about. The crab X on one side, when you invert through, just becomes leg drag on the other. And then Nicky throwing this frame in, I don't think it's going to save him. It feels very bad across your legs like this. Honestly, arm 50-50 would be really good there. Yeah, Lachlan's just floating over the top, again, trying to get his foot in this pocket, trying to get that crab entry off of like a butterfly, like a half butterfly, right? Like most people's reaction, I think, given Nicky Ryan's lineage and like all the B team and all the Danaher guys, will probably use half butterfly to enter into like a reverse X kind of Kani Basami, specifically just to get the saddle. And that's the exact reaction that Lachlan's looking for to try to get this crab dive. Yeah, tries to row drag. Yeah, again, right? Pummeling this foot in, accepting that, and then rolling. So that's actually probably the cleanest entry we've seen from Lachlan, right? He puts this foot into the pocket. It looks like you're going to get like a calf slicer, right? But he basically shifts his head to the legs, and his left hand is going to grab for like a leg control, right there on the hip. I missed it, but let's see if we can get it. There, right? This hand needs to grab this hip to stay connected, and you're rolling over your shoulder there. I think that's Lachlan's left shoulder, and you end up in a position where you can start trying to pass this over into like a crab position. And then at worst, you stand up for a leg drag. It might seem exhausting just to get a pass, but like it's better than getting put in a saddle, right? So Nicky with the wrestle up. Lachlan does not wrestle, right? He's not gonna do shit. The most he'll do is, I think, like his cat dog series. I know that he's also releasing some wrestling stuff on Submeta, but I don't even think he's the one teaching it. It's one of his boys. But yeah, the cat dog stuff I think is legit and probably very understudied. Okay, that's actually pretty good arm saddle details. So this is right. Lachlan has a different grip than I use. He's not using a row drag. Kinda. I don't know. Actually, yeah, that's correct, right? He's sagging on Nicky's elbow, and his right hand doesn't need to push Nicky's right wrist across because it's already across, right? And it's locked in. And once you're there and you have some purchase and you're kind of like dead hanging on the guy, I feel like you can upgrade and do what he's doing, where you have your right hand grab like the tricep meaty area and you try to sag down. Now, the issue here, right, is that Lachlan does not have this shin on the ear side of Nicky Ryan, right? This is different than the earlier video I put up where Levi was able to get that shin frame on Hulk's face, which prevents Hulk from looking at him with his face. In this instance, Lachlan's top leg is actually controlled, right? This is very annoying to deal with. If you can proactively frame away the top leg, you can kind of dismantle probably most people's Choi bar entries. There are solutions to this. Lachlan is actually using one of his solutions, and I think what he's trying to do is he doesn't quite get it, but this knee, his left knee now, is instead going to be acting as a frame, right? So here's the dilemma for Nicky Ryan. He has one arm trapped in a Choi bar. He has one arm free to handle Lachlan's legs. So he can either strip the bottom one, in which case I think that's a mistake. Well, he could strip the bottom one if this arm is free and he can actually dive underneath for like a thigh drag on this far side. That's okay, right? But staying in this pocket here, you have to commit your left arm to one of the legs, right? And there's going to be different reactions for both. In this instance, he's deciding to address Lachlan's top leg, which is, for Lachlan, very fucking annoying. And the bottom leg, what Lachlan's trying to do is insert this kind of K-hook. Ideally, he wants it on this side, because then he can actually keep Nicky Ryan's face away. That creates space, and he can throw this like a matrix hook into this pocket. But he can't, so he does what he can do, which is keeping this K-hook on like any shoulder, right? Any position. Lachlan's not really in a position to create space, so he just has to do the best he can. But the intent is to frame the face away and prevent Nicky Ryan from circling around. And they extracted, and the position's dismantled. He no longer has the elbow. Lachlan opting to go for the leg now, right? Which, makes sense, right? But you lose a Choi bar if they posture up. That means their weight's in their feet. You can now attack K-guard on the legs, right? So you're toggling the attack between the two of them. Yeah, I think that concludes it. That's it.